Hey guys, what's up? It's Michaela with Butler Beauty Bar. I wanted to share with you guys this little Halloween makeup look that I did. So let's get started. So first I took Kat Von D High Voltage Primer in the shade Skin and I applied this all over the entire eye area. Next I went in with Makeup Geek Beaches and Cream with this Sonia Kashuk brush. This brush actually doesn't have a name, I'm sorry. It's from a holiday collection from Valentine's Day, I believe. And I blended this all into the crease and up to the brow bone. And then I went in with Makeup Geek Barcelona Beach with a Morphe G17 brush. This brush is just a little bit more tapered, a little bit more precise. And then I blended this into the upper part of the crease and I sort of winged out that shadow just a little bit to help with the cut crease later. And then just blended that up as well. Then I went in with a MAC 286 brush, which is sort of like a mini stippling brush just to blend out that line a little bit more. Then to carve out the crease, I used the Ulta Correcting Concealer in the shade Tan Warm with the Anastasia number 18 brush. And I just carved out that line I had already started to create with that Barcelona Beach shadow. Then to set the lid where I created that crease, I used Makeup Geek in the shade Babyface and I applied it with a Sigma E25 brush. Next for the glitter liner, I used Hard Candy Walk the Line. I am not sure if Walk the Line is the name of those liners or the name of that shade, but it's sort of just a white silvery sparkle glitter. And I just applied that right under where we created that line for the cut crease. Next, for the Black Wing liner, I used the Anastasia Waterproof Cream Color in the shade Jet with the Anastasia number 14 brush, also known as the best brow brush of all time. Then I am just cleaning this up a little with a wet makeup wipe and redoing this a million times, which you are not seeing all of them. I was riding the struggle bus with this liner. Then for mascara, I used Smashbox Indecent Exposure. I curled my lashes with the Tarte eyelash curler and I just applied a thin coat of this mascara, and then I applied the Amazing Shine lashes in the number 747L. Moving on to the face, I primed my face with the Nivea Men's Post Shave Balm and I applied this all over my face. And then on my trouble areas, on my big large pore areas, I used the Benefit Dr. Feelgood smoothing stuff. I guess it's just called Dr. Feelgood, and I just pressed that into the pores on my nose, my forehead, and my chin. Then for foundation, I used the Urban Decay All Nighter Foundation in the shade 5.5 with a Morphe E34 brush. This is actually my first time using this foundation and I am obsessed. It is so amazing, so full coverage, and it dries matte, which I really appreciate because I am so extremely oily, so oily. And even though I'm going to set it anyway, it just helped a lot that it dried matte. And I definitely like this. Someone actually gave this foundation to me and it is maybe like half a shade too dark for me, but I made it work. I just applied this with a stippling motion all over my face, and since it also was a little bit too dark, I just blended this down onto my neck as well. Next for concealer, I used the Too Faced Born This Way concealer in the shade Fair, which I love, by the way. And before this, off camera, I had also applied the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye just right directly under my eyes for some extra coverage, and I applied the Born This Way concealer right on top. I applied this under my eyes, on my forehead, and down the bridge of my nose. I did not apply on my Cupid's bow or on my chin because we were going to be doing that blood all over there. I didn't need it there. Then I am just blending this out with my damp Real Techniques beauty sponge, and I am just pouncing this on those areas to make sure I keep as much coverage as possible. Since the bottom half of my face was going to be with the blood, I wanted to make sure that the top was as full coverage as possible. Next, I went in with the Cover FX Custom Enhancer Drops in the shade Sunkissed. I actually thought that I was buying the highlight drops, and when it came, I realized that this was kind of that bronzy shade, and I was kind of disappointed, but I actually ended up loving these. They are so beautiful. And as you can see, a little goes a long way because I used way too much and I had to go in and correct all this later. Then I'm just going over it with my foundation brush because I had applied so much and I had nowhere to put it. Oh, and then I applied some to my chin as well. since I had so much extra product on my sponge, and since that area was already going to be covered anyway, I figured, what the heck. Next, to set my under eyes to bake, I use the Kat Von D Lock It Setting Powder in the shade Translucent. I guess it's just translucent powder. And I press this on underneath my eyes and a little bit on my nose to set the under eye concealer. This product I'm actually also using for the first time for this look, and I have heard a lot of bad things about this powder actually, and I heard that it had some sheen to it, which again I don't want because I'm so oily, but it really didn't. It was really gorgeous. Gave me a lot of coverage, which I also liked. To dust off this powder, I use the Kat Von D Shade to Light brush with the, I think it's actually the contour side. Next to bronze, I use the Urban Decay Beach Bronzer in the shade Sunkissed with a Luxie 522 brush, just to really define that contour. The camera's a little bit out of focus, but you get the point. Next, to highlight, I use the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in the shade Pearl with a MAC 159 brush, which I quickly found was not working for me, and then I switched to the Luxie 522. I really wanted a very strong highlight. I was going to leave my under eyes alone as far as shadows go, but whenever I dusted off that powder under my eyes, it did leave a little bit of powder on my waterline. Now to the good stuff. For the blood portion of this look, I really did not have any tools for this, any sort of supplies. I made my own blood in my kitchen. I was just feeling inspired and I just wanted to do this, so I just made it work. So I did not have any liquid latex, I did not have any blood, and not anything of these sorts. The only thing I had on hand were cotton balls. Like I said, I've never done these kind of looks before. So I dug in my brain to think of what I could do. I did have some hair bond glue, which I think worked better since it's dark, so that is what I'm applying instead of the latex, because this glue does contain latex and it does dry to that rubbery finish, or it dries to that rubbery texture. So it actually worked great, and it was dark, so it wasn't white like liquid latex. I had less work to do in the end. Anyway, so I used this Morphe brush. I don't remember what the name of this was. I ended up throwing it away because, as you can tell, it got really ruined. So I'm glad I used a brush I didn't really care for. So I used this brush to start applying my latex beard, if you will. And I applied this on my chin, on my cheeks, and I just worked a little at a time because I didn't want the glue to start drying before I had placed the cotton balls. So I was sort of just layering this. I would do a patch of the glue, and then I would peel apart parts of cotton ball and place this just kind of randomly all over those spots. And then I was going back in, putting some more glue on just to give it that lots of texture and peeling and that really gross, disgusting, decaying, dying look. You know what I mean? So by this point, I had realized that my brush was pretty much biting the dust and it was going to be totally destroyed. So the glue was drying on my brush and making it very hard to work with. So I tried my tweezers and I ended up just going with my fingers to place this. I realized at this point I look like Santa Claus. So once this was completely dry, I didn't want to ruin any more brushes. I went in with shadows. First, I used the Kat Von D Mi Vida Loca palette with the shades Anthem and Vox with a Luxie 512 brush. So I started going in with these shadows and I just realized this was not doing the job. And I also realized that there were some patches on both of my sides of my cheeks, sort of by my jawline, where it was a little bit sparse. So next I went in with the Makeup Geek shade Cherry Cola and the shade Mars from the Makeup Geek and Manny MUA collab palette. This Cherry Cola is just more of a darker, deeper red, and Mars is more of a brighter red, and I used those and then mixed in with the brown as well, just to give it more of that red coloring and purple that I wanted, that I wasn't getting from the purple in the Kat Von D palette. I just made sure to blend that dark as far down on my neck as I could and just blur out all of those really harsh lines where the cotton and the glue ended and my skin started. Next, I'm going to go in with the blood. Now that I have all the shadow where I want it on the cheeks on top of the glue and the cotton, all the shading and the shadows and the color is how I want it. I am using this just a cheap sponge that I got on Amazon. I started just stippling this on very generously. I was really shocked how it looked and how it felt. I realized that it was kind of moving around what I had already done with the cotton, but I actually kind of liked that because the cotton actually started like peeling away and moving. I also kind of liked it because the cotton started absorbing some of that moisture, and so it really soaked in and added more color. I know I look like a weirdo in this, but I started using a spoon to just spoon this on so it would have that dripping effect, and I was making a huge mess, by the way. Then I just went back in and moved around that product that I had just placed, all those big globs all over. And I also spread this down onto my neck, which I really ended up liking and having it drip down. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this look. I seriously had so much fun doing this. I cannot wait to do more. Happy Halloween. Be safe, be kind, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.